Hi everyone, so after the 6x6 one that I did, a 6x6 diamond gatefold flap card, so this is the 6x6, I thought that I would do a 5x7 one. So these are all the 6x6s, but I thought let me do a 5x7, this is one I did in the craft class, very jazzy, very gold. But anyway, so yeah, so I thought I'd do a 5x7 one. So that's what we're doing today. So today I'm not actually going to use pattern papers. What I thought I would do is decorate it slightly differently, and you'll see how I do it a bit later on. If you stay tuned, you'll see what I do. But we're going to start off with one piece of base card that is 7 inches by 10 inches. And on this, you just need to score at 2.5 and 7.5 on the long edge, which will give you that. Okay, and then you just need one piece that is 4 by 7.5, and on the 7.5 inch edge, you need to score at 1/2 inch. So you're just basically making a tab. Okay, so that's all of the scoring done. So now what I want to do is go ahead and just fold this in. Now this card's a bit interesting because it's orange on one side and it's yellow on the other. But I thought, you know what, let me use it because for this card, actually I think it might work. So you want to fold these two sides in to make your gatefold. If they don't overlap, or they do overlap, they don't quite meet, don't worry about it too much because you're going to be cutting bits out of it. It doesn't matter too much. So that's what you should end up with. And then this piece here, just want to fold your tab, and I want the orange side to be shown on the front just because I want the yellow tab to be hidden on the inside. So you can stick your tab on the inside or you can stick it on the outside. I think actually I might stick it on the outside on mine. But anyway, before we do that, let us go ahead and cut out what we need to cut out on here. So what we're going to do is take a ruler, take a pencil. I'm going to do it on the inside of the card, so it's a bit less obvious. And what we're going to do is we're going to go from the bottom right to the top left, and we want to go about halfway. And I'm going to make a light pencil line because I really don't want to be. But hopefully you can see. You can sort of see it. So I've drawn from just here like that, and then we're going to go from the top right to the bottom left. And I'm literally going to stop at that line. So like that. So I've gone past a little bit, so I'm just going to rub that out. Hopefully it will rub out okay. Yep. So I've got like a triangle. And again, I don't think you can really see it, but you'll see it in a minute when I cut it out. So again, I'm going to go from the top left to the bottom right. But again, I'm only going to go like halfway. So you can see where my ruler is. So halfway is about here. So I'm just going to draw a little pencil line there, and then I'm going to go the other way, and again just go until I meet that line. It looks like I haven't quite gone far enough, but I can kind of guess where it is. It's kind of around there. Okay, so once we've done that, we just need to grab a cutting mat and also a Stanley knife or craft knife or whatever, and we're going to go ahead and cut this out. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut just below the pencil line, just a fraction below the pencil line, just so I don't have to rub the pencil line out. So we cut down there like that, and then the same on this side. Okay, so you should end up with that. So that's the look of your card. Now mine kind of overlaps top and bottom, which is fine. It's not too bad. So then you're left with these two pieces. Now somebody in the comments on one of my on my video for the 6x6 mentioned about using these so that then it would help you to get your angle on your panels. So I thought, let's give it a go. It might work, it might not work. I'm not entirely sure. So I'm using, so these will be pattern panels, but because I'm doing things slightly differently today, I'm using white panels, but these are 2 1/4 by 6 3/4, and I've got 2 of them. And these will end up doing the front 2 pieces and inside 2 pieces. And it depends how you want to decorate. So obviously on here, I've got this pattern here, and I've got one here, of the like holly, and then the other holly one, well, the poinsettia is there, and then this is the spot and the other spot is there. So the only thing you have to remember is when you're cutting these out, you need to remember to cut one of your panels like that and the other panel like that. If you do them both the same way, you're not going to end up with triangles that fit. So you have to make sure you do them alternate ways. Now, what I wanted to do this time around, I wanted to use some of this Journal Say tape because I really like this. Look at this rainbow. Look how nice that is. And I just thought if we do it from corner to corner like that, then you're going to end up with like an edge. So if I take this here and just put this on, so if you imagine that's kind of what you're going to see. So you're going to have this nice edge and then these little bubbles floating off. And I just thought that looked quite cool. The other option is to actually have it so that it goes, so imagine you've got panels, but it actually is a bit more on, it kind of follows actually on the panel like that. So you've got a white edge all the way around and these bubbles. And actually I don't know if I sort of prefer that. Oh, I think I prefer it here like that. Going across. I think I'm going to do it that way around. So for that reason we are now going to try and use these pieces and see if this works. So that is going to be there. So that is for this piece here. So I'm just going to get this piece, line it up along this edge here, like that, and then I'm going to draw. Now, the thing is with this is that if you do this, when you lay this down, because I'm drawing, you know, this is obviously wider than I need it to be, but if I lay my ruler on, this line then doesn't come to here. So I think what I need to do, potentially, because I need that full length, so I think what I need to do is I think I might just draw a line, just a very pale line that I can rub out later. Just draw a line along here, like that. And then I think what I'm going to do is use that line to then help me go to the corner somehow. Or maybe just, I think I'm just going to come slightly up. Like maybe there. So I've just got like a bit of a border. I'm just going to draw a line and see what we think of that. Okay, let's lay it on. Because the other option is just to kind of do what I normally do and kind of cut it and then just trim it to size. But I would like to not have to do that. So I'm going to cut down that line. And I'm going to cut the two together because I can turn them round. If you've got pattern paper, you'd need to put either both patterns together or both backs together for this, if you're going to cut them together. Okay, so I've got two pieces like that. Now remember with this I can turn them round, so if you've got pattern paper you need to bear that in mind. So this one, let's have a look, see how well this goes on here. Yep, that actually is a good angle. And then I've got this one here and I can turn that whatever way I want to. So I'm going to swizzle that around that way. And then these two just need sorting out. But what I might do is I might just grab one of these, place it on, and then just draw down that line because I know that that's the right, it's the right angle, it's the right line. And obviously with the beauty of having this white card is I haven't got to worry about a right side and the wrong side, so I can just turn it round. So if you're using pattern paper, as I said, just be super careful. Maybe make yourself a template out of card and then just use that because you can turn that round any old way you want to get it to be the right way round for whichever triangle you're doing at the time. So I think that's what I would advise that you do. And I'm going to cut these two together again, which is also slightly risky, but we're going to give it a go. Okay, so we've got our triangles. Now, as I said, I can turn these any old way I want to. So I'm going to, what I've been doing up until now is I've been having them this way round. But I'm now wondering whether I do a bit of a different and I have it this way round and I have the little triangles at the top. And I think Or I could do one up, one down. Oh, look at that. I think I'm going to go from the bottom this time and see what we think about that and have the short ones at the top. No, I think I like them the way we did them. I think I prefer it at the top. I'm going to go with the top. I think I prefer it that way around. Okay, so these are my front inside ones. And then on the inside, I might do the opposite. I might do, instead of them coming from the top, I might have them coming from the bottom instead. So one there and one there, just for the difference. Yeah, I think I might do that. Okay, so those are my bits of card, and they're the right way around. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make a mark on the back of these so I know this is the back of the card. Right, so now we need to get the tape out, and what I'm going to do, grab a bit of tape, and we want this one to come down like that. So I'm going to peel it off, and then it can kind of stick to the mat below. So this is actually one. This tape is one that doesn't have. It's got a wibbly wobbly edge because it follows the bubbles, and I really like the fact that it followed the bubbles. So we're going to stick that on like that and try and maximise the amount of use out of my tape. So we're going to do that like that, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put the backing back behind it. I'm going to use a pair of scissors and just cut it the best I can, because I'm thinking I might be able to use that angle on the next piece, and then we can just go in and properly trim that down. I'm going to do it from the other side. In fact, actually, let's use a Stanley knife. Okay, so I'll do that in a minute. Let me do that in a minute. So let's grab this one and... Oh yeah, okay, so we don't want to use that. So let's just cut this bit off. So now I'm going to go ahead and do this one, and I'm actually going to just lay that on. I'm going to cut it where I think I need to cut it, which is there. And then we're just going to go ahead and repeat the same process on this one. So we'll peel this back. I'm not going to take it all off to start with. I'm just going to kind of lay it where I think it needs to be, which is there. And then we can peel this off and stick that down. So this is kind of stuck to the mat now, which is fine. So now I'm going to go in with the Stanley and just cut down that edge. I just think if I use a Stanley knife, it might be a little bit easier and neater to do. Okay, so there's my two front panels done. I'm actually really pleased with the way they've turned out. Just they're beautiful, really beautiful. So I would never normally use stickers. I'm so in love with these stickers. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah, let me shush. Right, I'm going to go ahead and stick these down. Look at that. That's awesome. That's just awesome. Right, I'm going to go ahead and stick these down. I'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, so there's the front of my card. So now we're going to go and do the other triangles, and then we'll get to the inside bits. So on the other triangles, I think I want to do the same again. So let's just put that to one side. So here's my triangles. They're going to be that way around. So I'm going to go ahead now and repeat the whole process again with the inside triangles. Okay, so there's my two triangles done, and again, I think they look amazing. I like the fact that these stickers are not that shiny. So if you hold up to the light, you can see like where the edges are, but because they're kind of like almost like a matte, just normally without them catching the light, you can't see that they're actually stickers. Right, I'm going to go ahead now and stick those onto the inside. Okay, so next up you're going to need 4 pieces that are 2 1/4 by 3 1/4, and these are going to be cut down to make these triangles here. Now, what I think I might do, no, actually it usually works right. So what I've done before, which tends to work fine, is to, along the top, you're just going to make a mark along the top at 1 1/8, like that. And then we're literally going to cut down from that mark to the bottom right hand corner and from that mark to the bottom left hand corner. And again, I'm going to do a couple at a time just to kind of save a bit of time. So I'm going to go ahead now and do that. Okay, so I've cut those down. And I thought for this one I would use this beautiful paint stroke, because I just thought it'd be really nice if that was just going up the centre like that, like little, almost like little flames. And then I'm just going to stick these on, and what I might do is I might just let me turn this round, and then I'm going to lay these down like that. It doesn't matter too much. I'm going to leave a little bit of a gap in between and just see if I can do 2 at a time like that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and do that. Okay, so now I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and do what I did before and just cut this excess bits of tape off. Okay, so we've got our 4 triangles there, so we can go ahead and place them on, and I think I'm going to go with the orangey ones on the front, because I think that's good, and then the more purpley ones on the inside, I think so. Let's just try them the other way around, see what we think. Oh, actually no, I think the purple ones need to go on the front. Right, purple ones on the front, orange ones on the inside, so I'm going to go ahead now and stick those down. Okay, so there we have our front and our inside done. I actually really like the way this is coming together. It's very colourful, which is what I kind of was intending. Okay, so let's go to this piece here that we had, and we've folded our tab. What we're going to do now is we're going to put some glue or tape on the back of that, and that is going to stick at the back of our card. Before we do that, I think I'm going to stick my white piece in. So when I did the 6x6 version, I actually did the white piece so it was slightly narrower than the flap, as you can see. So then you've got borders. So you can do that if you wish. On this one though, I've decided not to do that. And what I'm going to do is I've actually cut out a piece of white that is 4 3/4 by 6 3/4. And that's going to go there. And actually this is a bit smaller. I think this is probably 4.5 by 6.5. So that means that when you have this coming down, you will have a white border either side, and I don't mind that. I think that's fine. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and stick the white one in first, because then that's going to help me centre that centre flap. So then we're going to take this one here, and we're going to put, like I said, some glue just on the inside bit of this tab, and then that is going to stick behind. As I said, if you want to, you can stick it on the inside, but you would need to make sure you are covering it up. So I'm just going to place this on like this with the flap dangling. Make sure it's central, and then just fold that over and stick it down. And that way I can make sure that's definitely nice and central, there's no weird gaps. And then when that closes, yep, that closes onto it. So I'm just going to let that dry. Okay, so that's stuck down, so obviously you can see the tab at the back. If you wanted to cover that over, you could, but I'm probably not going to bother. And then what we need to do now is do the panel on the front. So the panel on the front, I've done as a 3 3/4 by 6 3/4. And so that will go on the front there. Now for this one, you could have it plain. I have got a happy birthday to you, which is going to go on there. But what I wanted to do was use, and this might be too much, I'm not sure, is use this one, which is the paint drip. And I thought it might be quite nice to layer up from the bottom, start here, and just layer up like paint drips all the way up. It's going to be very busy, but then what I'm thinking is this is white, so this is going to be over the top of that. So you're only really going to see top and bottom of those paint drips. So that was my thought. So I think I am going to go and do that. We're going to live dangerously and hope for the best. So I'm going to bring my cutting mat back in, and then we're just going to take this and just start layering them up left and right. And I'm going to start at the bottom and just kind of put the drip so it kind of goes more or less to the bottom there. And I'm actually going to cut these just slightly to one side, so that can go there, and then that one can go there, and just keep on doing this all the way up. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and stick all these down, starting at the bottom and working my way up. Okay, so that's that finished. I actually really like the way that's come out, and that's going to go in the middle. This is a very bright, colourful card, but look, if once you put the happy birthday in, it kind of covers some of that up, so you end up with this. It's just a very bright, colourful card. That's what I wanted. That's what I planned. It's, yeah, very much not what I would normally do. But you know what? Sometimes you have to try things that are a bit different, and I actually quite like it. I actually quite like it. If you wanted to, you could make this centre one a plain colour instead. That might be, you know, a bit less busy, but I don't mind it. I don't mind it. Whoever gets this will be somebody who loves colour, maybe is an artist, you know, who just is not afraid of using colour. So therefore, they are going to love it. So let's stick this down like that. And there we go. And then we just need to go ahead and put that on the front. And I'm going to make sure that's on pad slightly. Now the thing is, obviously when it's closed, you can't fully see it, but that's fine because it's going to be that's how it's going to stand. So you're going to see it when it's kind of open. So I'm going to go ahead now and just put some red tape on the back, and this is that stuff, as I said, mentioned before, I think I've used this before, that it's kind of like a foam tape. It's only got a little bit of dimension, it's not got lots, it's just got a little bit of dimension, just enough to kind of raise it up without it being a problem for posting. Okay, so there's your finished card. So you could add, if you wanted to, some little pencils, die cuts, whatever, but I quite like it. It is very busy, it is very colourful, but I just think it's quite super happy, and you know, I just quite like it. It stands up nicely, and actually if I can try and make it look like when it stands up, it kind of stands up a bit like that, so this bit kind of just flaps forward a little bit, which I like. So actually like that, I quite like that. It's not too bad. It's not, I mean, it is a bit busy, but it's just very colourful and cheery. So yeah, there you go. So that's what you can do. So I'm quite impressed with using these tapes. I didn't know how it was going to turn out. So that's a few more of them used, and I actually really like the way it looks. As I said, it's kind of like a matte finish on them. They're not super shiny. Like obviously if you catch the light, you can kind of see them, but they're not that shiny. So yeah, I really like them. Very nice, and you can layer them up really nicely. So if you wanted to, you could have layered these up and made them a bit more. You could actually just put them all on a big sheet of card or paper, make your own backing paper, and then you know, layer them up however you want, and then just cut them into the shapes and whatever you want. So that's another option. But yeah, really pleased with that. So I hope you enjoyed that. Don't forget to check out Journal Say. Use my code ICEDImages, which will get you 8% off your order. And also don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you never miss a video. And we'll see you again next time. Bye!